一人の人間が宇宙の声を聞いたと言われています。ニール・ドナルド・ウォルシュ、世界的ベストセラー、神との対話の著者。彼は本当に神と対話をしたのでしょうか？それとも私たち自身の内なる声だったのでしょうか？その書物は数百万人の人生を変えました。しかし、語られた内容の奥にはまだ解き明かされていない真実があります。私たちは新しい響きの時代を迎えています。神との対話を超えて、新教会の視点からそのメッセージを紹覧しましょう。神との対話対談シリーズその1。
So we have to get over that opposition, because if we walk down the street or we're talking to friends and we say, well, God said to me this morning, so and so and so and so, people will make fun of us, or they'll ridicule us, or they might even be offended by us. How dare you say that? So that's why step 3 is we have to be willing to encounter the cultural bias that we will absolutely encounter if we imagine ourselves or experience ourselves as having a conversation with God. I'm sorry to go on and on and on like this, but you asked me about the 6 steps, so I'm happy to give you the final 3.
Please.
Step number 4 is wakefulness.
Wakefulness.
We have to stay awake, because even if we're willing to have a conversation with God, unless we are awake to how those conversations occur, they will go in one ear and out the other. We will miss them. We will miss them, like we're sleepwalking. So we have to stay awake and be aware of how the messages from God are coming to us. Are they coming to us in the form of words? Could it be feelings? Could it be visualizations, images, ideas? Could it be just, coincidences? The song we hear on the radio, the lyrics of the song we hear on the radio, or the chance utterance of a friend on the street, or maybe a conversation we overhear in a coffee shop. So the point being is that messages from the divine are coming to us in 100 different ways across thousands of moments in 500 different lifetimes. So we have to stay awake and be alert, and don't let the conversations with God go right past us, and without even receiving the information that we have been invited to receive. Step number 5 is acceptance. We have to accept that what we have experienced is actually a message from the divine. So we don't write it off. We don't say, it's just a coincidence. No, it's just serendipity, or I made it all up. And I even said to God, Shinokan, I even said in my conversation, I said, how do I know this is not just my imagination? And God said, Neil, what makes you think I would not use your imagination as one means of communicating with you? Where do you suppose Mozart got his music? Where do you suppose Michelangelo got his art? Where do you suppose anyone came up with anything that was of value to human beings? From their imagination. So just because you think it's your imagination doesn't mean that it's not a valid communication. So I realized that step number 5 then is acceptance. I have to accept that I have actually received a message from the divine and not write it off as something less than that. And then that brings me to step number 6, the final step in the process, which is discernment. That I have to be able to discern or tell the difference between messages from the divine and information that's being poured over me from 1,000 other sources, these days especially, with the internet and Facebook and Twitter and X or whatever they call it now, and all the various ways that we're being inundated with messages from around the world. 1,000 ideas an hour, 500 ideas, every half hour. So we have to be able to tell the difference between true messages from the divine and just other information, other things that happen. For instance, I know somebody who says that everything that's happening in her life it was a sign. It's a sign. So she reached into her handbag to pull out the keys to her car, and a $10 bill happened to pop out of the handbag and fell on the street. And she said, it's a sign. I'm supposed to take all of my money and throw it on the street for people to pick up. And I said, what do I say? I said, whoa, wait a minute, that's not a sign. That was an accident. It's just simply an accident. Pick up the $10 bill and put it back in your purse. Put it back in your handbag. So we have to be able to tell the difference between information that's coming to us in many, many ways and actually truly intervention from the divine. Those are the 6 steps. Of course, I described them in even greater detail naturally in the book to give people an opportunity to move closer to their conversations with God.
Thank you so much. That's really encouraging. And we can't wait to read the Japanese version in Japan. And Neil, I first saw you from the DVD, The Secret. And I watched probably more than 1,000 times during that time and really inspired from your word. But, the more I focus on the law of attraction, the more, trouble that I'm getting into. So I start to realizing, there is maybe other recipe in this law. And I watched your other video. You mentioned about the law of opposite, the law of joy, and the law of love. And those also need to be, included in the law of attraction. Could you, comment us, advise us, how
Well,
can...
I would certainly love to talk about, especially the law of opposites, which is something that I was told about in my conversation with God. Because I said to God, I don't understand why, I might even be thinking that what I would really like is, more higher income in my life, or maybe the perfect life partner. And I get just the opposite. The opposite, I don't understand. And God said, well, let me tell you about the law of opposites. The moment you declare yourself to be or to choose anything, its exact opposite will show up in your awareness, in your life. And I said, well, I don't understand. Why? And God said, because, Neil, in the absence of the opposite, that which you are cannot be experienced. And I said, well, I still don't understand. God said, okay, I'll explain it to you. Let's say, for the sake of discussion, as a metaphor, that you are the light. So say to me, I am the light. I said, okay, I said, as a metaphor, I am the light. God said, okay, now, you are the light, but so is everybody else. So you are like a candle in the sun. You're there all right, along with the 50 cajillion other candles that make up the sun. So, and the sun wouldn't be the sun without you. No, it would be the sun without one of its candles. And that would not be the sun at all. But if you want to experience yourself as the light, if you want to know what it's like to actually be the light, you can't do it when you're a candle in the sun because there's nothing else but the light. So you have to find what's called the darkness. Now you have the light and the darkness. Now you can know who you are in the space of that which you are not. But in the absence of what you are not, what you are is not. So, another example that God used was, when I was a child, I always wanted to be 6 feet tall. To me, it was a big deal as a child because my brother was 6 feet tall and he looked like a movie star. And I wanted to be 6 feet tall. But God said to me in my conversation, what if...
本日も最後までご視聴いただき、本当にありがとうございました。この動画が少しでも心に響いた方は、ぜひチャンネル登録をお願いいたします。さらに深く学びたい方のために、オンラインサロンを用意しました。月999円で限定コンテンツたくさんあります。承認制です。毎週日曜日夜20時から YouTube ライブ、その後20時半から1時間有料ライブを放送中です。新無料メルマガ無料コミュニティスタートしました。概要欄に申請リンクがありますのでそちらからお越しください。これからも規制チャネリングを通じて皆様と共に誠の道を歩んでいきます。どうぞチャンネル登録よろしくお願いいたします。